The Great Chicago Fire started on October 8, 1871, in a barn located on the property of Patrick and Catherine O'Leary on the Chicago southwest side. In October 1801, the dry weathers and abundance of wooden buildings, streets, and sidewalks made Chicago vulnerable to the fire. Legend holds that the blaze started as the family's cow knocked over a lighted lantern. They have, however, denied that. The fire burned wildly throughout the day. Finally, on October 10, due to rain, it needed a boost for firefighting efforts, so the Great Chicago Fire left an estimated 300 people dead and 100,000 others homeless. More than 17,000 structures were destroyed and damages, and were estimated at 200 million. You will see throughout this PowerPoint how the Chicago Fire spreads through the city all the way up to Lake Michigan.
Let's talk a little bit about the roads and buildings in Chicago before the fire struck. While there aren't a lot of pictures of Chicago roads or buildings before the fire, we can make educated guesses on what life was like by looking at other older cities. For an example of what roads would have been like, let's look at Boston. As you can see, Boston is not really on a grid. The roads aren't very winding and curvy, and there aren't a lot of straight roads. The roads don't really go north, south, east, or west a lot either. It's kind of all over the place. Many cities that were built a long time ago have roads like this and are very confusing to navigate. And luckily, Chicago got the chance to redo their roads. As for buildings, the buildings back then were created poorly due to lack of technology. There were a lot of wood buildings that made it easier for the fire to spread. These wood buildings were almost completely destroyed, and Chicago made sure to upgrade their buildings after the fire so that this disaster would not happen again.
We have a close above the loop. As you can see, the only two trains that are technically outside the loop are the blue line and red line, but a majority of the other colors go to the loop. So the red line and the blue line really just pass through. You get a transfer to brown line, purple line, orange line, and pink line. Orange line can take you to the suburbs. Brown line takes you everywhere you need to go in the city. So our close up of the map. As you can see, the way our streets are organized, north-south, 3900 south, 51st, 47th, every stop is made at some junction in these perpendicular lines. And here is a key to where you need to go. O'Hare is located by the end of the blue line. So see if you go to O'Hare here, all the way to Forest Park, various other stations. Intersect. So yeah, blue line will typically get you where you need to go if you have urgent business in, let's say, Wisconsin, need to board a train. That'll get you there. Jefferson Park Blue Line Station. There are several stations throughout the city of Chicago that connect to various train lines. The blue line is one of the most extensive. There are several stops, particularly on Belmont, for example, that connect to the brown and purple lines, which go to the loop. The loop is the center where most of the colors meet up, and they go through various stops throughout Chicago, often between Water Park and the fire station. So this is what you're going to see. There is construction going on, but trains and buses are still fully functional this morning. The bus right there, the 270 to Glenbrook Hospital, does go to the suburbs, so it's not just the urban areas, it's also the suburban areas we go to. Pace buses have recently, in the past few years, been fitted for Venture cards. Their toll is slightly below what it is for Chicago urban buses. Bus fare typically is $250 without a Venture card. Venture cards can be filled up per ride usage. I use a month pass, which is about $105, unlimited rides for 30 days. Typically, that is the best option to have if you do not have a car. We have a great transportation system going over parallel lines. We have an above-line train system in Chicago, one of the only ones in the country. In fact, they used our train lines to film the Spider-Man movie, or the second Spider-Man movie. So we're really fortunate. And our buses go all over our crazy perpendicular streets.